Ladies and gentlemen, the art performance that you just enjoyed is called Rampak Kendang, or we could understand it as an orchestra of drums. Kendang itself is the name of Sundanese traditional percussion. This art form is a representation of the expression of simplicity, joy, and the unity of Sundanese community, and was created in 1970 by a young Sundanese composer at the time, Gugum Gumbira. The hallmark of this performance is the dynamic interaction between music and bodily movement of the head, hands, body, and feet, coupled with facial expression and vocals. It includes an energetic and interactive cheerfulness presented through the aesthetic of motion, vocalization, and synchronized, cohesive, and dynamic rhythm of traditional music. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, shalom, om swastiastu, namo buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Good morning, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, allow me to extend our warmest greetings to our eminent guest. Yang terhormat, His Excellency Chair of the Committee of Permanent Representatives to ASEAN and all the state ambassadors, Chairman of the Council of Rector of Indonesia State University, Rektor of Universitas Padjadjaran, yang kami hormati para Wakil Rektor, Dekan Fakultas dan Sekolah Pasca Sarjana, para pimpinan di lingkungan Universitas Padjadjaran, each one of you, moderator, and also those of who are joining with us virtually. Welcome to the Ambassador's Talk on Higher Education in ASEAN 2020. Thank you for the positive energy. Everyone is looking great for today. It's truly an honor to me stand before you as the Master of Ceremony for this remarkable event. For those of you joining us today, my name is Triaji Rizky Ramadan. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ambassador's Talk on Higher Education in ASEAN 2023 is continuation agenda from ASEAN Higher Education Conference 2023, which was initiated by Universitas Padjadjaran with the Council of Rector of Indonesia State University and the Ambassadors Town Hall Meeting on Higher Education Development in ASEAN as a prevent leading to AHEC 2023. Both activities has served as platform for productive deliberation on ways to promote collaborative measure in the area of higher education in ASEAN. And ladies and gentlemen, this activity is aimed to facilitate further discussion and sharing of views, experiences, and information to students and academicians on building a strong and resilient higher education system in ASEAN and establishing ASEAN connectivity. Once again, I extend my gratitude to each and every one of you for being an integral part for this remarkable event. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let's proceed to our first agenda of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Indonesia. Thank you. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, let us listen together to the Rector of Universitas Padjadjaran to deliver the welcoming remarks. Professor Dr. Rina Indiastuti, SAMSCA, the stage is yours.
Terima kasih sudah hadir Bapak Ibu semua. Allow me to speak in bahasa. Excellencies, Ambassador Dery Aman, Chair of the Committee of Permanent Representatives of ASEAN. Ambassador and Permanent Representative of ASEAN, Ambassador of ASEAN Dialogue, partners and other external parties, Vice Rector, Deans, Lecturer, students, delegates, distinguished guests and participants, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning. Welcome to Jatinangor. Welcome to Universitas Padjadjaran campus. First of all, allow me to welcome you all to Jatinangor. We hope Excellencies, delegates, participants, Ibu Bapak will have a great moment on our campus, especially in this prestigious event. The ambassadors talks in collaboration between Universitas Padjadjaran and the permanent mission of ASEAN in Indonesia. On this occasion, allow me to convey my appreciation to His Excellencies Ambassador Dery Aman. Please big applause to him for the initiative and support in making this event feasible. We are honored to welcome all the ambassadors of Universitas Padjadjaran, and today's event will connect us with all opportunities to strengthen higher education in Asia and all dialogue partner countries. Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to describe the current condition of Universitas Padjadjaran. This university is one of the legal entity state universities in West Java, Indonesia. According to QS World University Ranking and the QS Asia University Ranking for 2023, Unpad is ranked 661st overall and 160th in Asia. We are progressing greatly, increasing over 100 points from the previous year. Several variables are evaluated to generate this improvement in reputation, including academic reputation, citations, employer reputation, faculty-student ratio, international student ratio, international faculty, international research network, and sustainability. At the moment, Universitas Padjadjaran has rather high employer and academic reputation scores. The number of international students is one factor that need to be addressed. To facilitate this, Unpad offers multiple scholarship programs that aim to attract many international students coming to Unpad. Another metric to consider is the research network, which can be enhanced by expanding professor engagement with global partners. Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Universitas Padjadjaran understands that there is a significance in strengthening partnership in order to constantly enhance its international reputation. Therefore, the university has formulated several superiorities and programs, such as, first, to realize Unpad vision as a globally renowned university with a significant impact on society. Unpad is committed to enhancing the quality of education, research, and community engagement. This achieved through the reinforcement of collaboration and partnership with both domestic and international universities and industries. Second, strengthening partnership in the field of education, which involve activities such as sending students for internship within industries and enabling them to study abroad, supported by Campus Mereka of Freedom Campus program, and bringing in lecturers and instructors from both domestic and foreign universities, as well as industry professionals. Here, many students who had already experienced to do student exchange abroad. Please enjoy this event for you, and thank you for our international student who come here together with us. Thank you. And third program, we expand partnership in the field of research, entail collaborative research efforts with fellow researchers from both domestic and international backgrounds. Lastly, to expand the benefits to the community, Unpad is dedicated to the downstreaming of research products and innovation, as well as joint project with partner aimed at fostering the well-being of the community. This is exemplified in various sectors, including healthcare, agriculture, and others. In terms of partnership, the number of partners has steadily increased. However, there is still a need for further development of industry partnership, both domestically and internationally. We hope from all ambassadors attend here, we can establish a follow partnership through your support. Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, finally, we are delighted to receive your support in this great opportunity, particularly to enhance our regional and international reputation. Hopefully, all the delegates and participants will have fruitful discussion and networking during our event. We are also happy to welcome international students, lecturers from our partner countries to Universitas Padjadjaran. I should thank all the partners for supporting and contributing to this event. I should also thank all the committees for their hard work and cooperation in this prestigious event. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof. Rina. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it round of applause once again for the warm welcoming remarks by the Rector of Universitas Padjadjaran. Ladies and gentlemen, we will move to the next agenda. It is my pleasure to call upon to the stage Chair of the Committee of Permanent Representative to ASEAN to deliver the opening remarks. Please welcome His Excellency Mr. Dery Aman. The stage is yours.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Syukur alhamdulillah kami bersama teman-teman dari ASEAN Member States dan ASEAN Dialogue Partners serta other ASEAN External Partners bisa berada di kampus yang kita banggakan bersama, Universitas Padjadjaran. Honorable Professor Dr. Ibu Rina Indiastuti, Director of Universitas Padjadjaran, Excellencies, the Committee of Permanent Representatives to ASEAN, Excellencies, Ambassadors of ASEAN Dialogue Partners and other external partners of ASEAN, the Honorable Council of Rectors of Indonesian State Universities, distinguished representatives of missions to ASEAN in Jakarta, distinguished participants, friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning and greetings to everyone. I would also like to welcome my colleagues from Jakarta to Jatinangor, and especially welcome to the campus of Universitas Padjadjaran in Jatinangor. It is really a pleasure to be here in this lovely morning. If you compare with Jakarta, of course, it's always a pleasure to be in this area, and especially to be in Jatinangor, the Universitas Padjadjaran campus, along with my friends from Jakarta, friends of ASEAN, and also I would like to say hello and hi to all students here, as well as all the Civitas Academica who are here, as well as joining us virtually. ASEAN is no stranger to Bandung. Over the years, Bandung has been a host city for various ASEAN-related events with the warm people and hospitality, weather, culinary, history, and sceneries. It's always a pleasure to be here and always makes us want to come back. Therefore, allow me to welcome you all once again, my colleagues from Jakarta, in Bandung, the city of flowers. Allow me also to extend my appreciation to Ibu Professor Dr. Rina Indiastuti and her team in the University of Padjadjaran for being the kind host and co-organizing the Ambassador's Talk on Higher Education with the Indonesian Permanent Mission to ASEAN in Jakarta. Universitas Padjadjaran, also known as Unpad, is one of the strong supporters for the Indonesian ASEAN chairmanship this year, proven in last August Unpad hosted the ASEAN Higher Education Conference 2023, or AHEC, or the AHEC. It was a series of events starting from June with AHEC Communique webinar series and ambassadors town hall meeting, followed by ASEAN alumni meeting and ASEAN Youth Forum in August. Those events resulted in 3 recommendations, which were declared during the AHEC International Conference as Bandung Declaration on ASEAN Higher Education. Those events, including what we are having today, is also a close collaboration with the Council of Rector of Indonesian State Universities, or KRISU. It is proof of the solid commitment from state universities all over Indonesia to support Indonesia's ASEAN chairmanship this year. Excellencies and honorable participants, for all its diversity, ASEAN has been moving towards social-economic integration, creating an inclusive, harmonious, and equitable community with a single market fully integrated into the global economy. Higher education, as one of the areas of ASEAN's integration, has grown rapidly in the regional and international context in the last decade. The ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community Blueprint 2025 advocates the promotion of an innovative ASEAN approach to higher education, which will promote greater people-to-people interaction and mobility within and outside ASEAN, leading to the free flow of ideas, knowledge, expertise, and skills to inject dynamism within the region. At the regional level, there are a number of organizations that are active in the development of an ASEAN higher education community, including the ASEAN Secretariat's Education, Youth, and Sports Division, and the ASEAN University Network, or the AUN. Connecting with local institutions such as the Council of Rector of Indonesian State University will hopefully create regional commitments in higher education system based on the principles of equity, inclusion, and quality. Indonesia's ASEAN chairmanship provides an opportunity for ASEAN to play an active role, offering ideas and solutions for the benefit of peace and prosperity in the region. This role fit perfectly to be played by all of you, Civitas Academica, and the students here in Universitas Padjadjaran. As students and academicians, I believe it is your duty to finally put the result of your studies to be implemented in the real world. Let the world hear your voice and see your action for the betterment of our societies, our region, and ultimately our global world. Today's Ambassador's Talk in Higher Education will act as a melting pot of ideas and experiences from our respected guests, enabling us to learn, to understand, and to compare various higher education systems so we can keep raising our bar together, shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand. Ibu Rektor, Excellencies and colleagues, higher education is a key modality contributing to ASEAN's regional development, integration, and connectivity agendas. I believe that our presence today is an unmissable experience to have a better comprehension towards regional and global higher educations. Ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce my colleagues present here. I will start with Ambassador Mi Chu from Malaysia. And I believe all other ASEAN member states are represented here. If you see the flags, Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, of course, Laos, PDR, Malaysia, the ambassador is here. Myanmar, representative is here. The Philippines, the ambassador will join us later on. And then Singapore is here. Thailand is also here. And Vietnam will join us later. And also from the ASEAN Dialogue Partners, I would like to introduce Ambassador Will from Australia. And also Ambassador Evgeny from Russia. Ambassador Vicky Singmin from Canada. And also Ambassador Peterson from Norway. And there are also representatives from our ASEAN partners. Later on, the US ambassador to ASEAN will join us, and also ambassador of Japan to ASEAN will also join us later on. And others who are here from the mission of China, from the mission of India, from the mission of the Republic of Korea, from the mission of New Zealand, and I hope I didn't miss anyone. So it's a pleasure for all of us to be here, Ibu Rektor and colleagues from the Universitas Padjadjaran. I hope this will be the start, a beginning of a optimistic cooperation and collaboration in the future. So to conclude, I would like to convey my high appreciation and thanks to Universitas Padjadjaran for co-organizing this event, accommodating academicians and faculty members both physically and virtually. May this event in Universitas Padjadjaran be also a starting point or gateway for Universitas Padjadjaran to broaden its networking for possible higher education cooperation and collaboration with ASEAN member states, and with ASEAN partners. I also would like to thank and appreciate the support of all the ambassadors and representatives present here today. I look forward to hear from them their ideas and share of information that can benefit all of us here, especially benefit Universitas Padjadjaran. I thank you all very much.
Give big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, His Excellency. We kindly ask His Excellency to the stage because before we move to the next agenda, there will be a souvenir exchanging from Universitas Padjadjaran and the Committee of Permanent Representative to ASEAN. For the matter, we would like to invite Yang Terhormat Rektor Universitas Padjadjaran, Profesor Dr. Rina Indestuti, to the stage. First is a souvenir from Universitas Padjadjaran to the Committee of Permanent Representative to ASEAN. Ladies and gentlemen, the special souvenir given by the Director of Universitas Padjadjaran is a replica of a traditional weapon originating from West Java, or commonly kujang, as an integral part of society and culture of Sundanese and West Java, and also a scarf with Universitas Padjadjaran batik motif. Next, the souvenir from the Committee of Permanent Representative to ASEAN to Universitas Padjadjaran.
Ibu Rektor, Excellencies and colleagues, this is a souvenir from the Committee of Permanent Representatives to ASEAN, which bears all the signatures of the ASEAN member states ambassadors to ASEAN, and I hope it will add all the souvenirs that you have received that we saw in the lounge. So I hope it will add to your collection, Ibu Rektor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, you may return to your seat. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we mentioned earlier, the Ambassador's talk on higher education in ASEAN is aimed to facilitate discussion and sharing of views, experiences, and information between the members and partners of ASEAN. The ultimate goal is to build a strong and resilient higher education system in ASEAN and establishing ASEAN connectivity. Continuing this momentum, it is now my distinct pleasure to present the exciting Ambassador's talks on higher education in ASEAN and get ready for an insightful session. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome to the stage a famous Indonesian TV presenter to introduce the next session.
Indonesia dalam berbagai bahasa di Praha.
Mesdames et messieurs, à la fin de notre présentation, veuillez voter pour l'Indonésie pour 300 tickets for the committee. Universal Passport, Boston Indonesia, Power, Road
Tapi di balik semua itu ada persiapan yang matang dan semangat yang tak pernah padam. Asal terus apa yang menjadi talenta kamu. Talenta kamu nggak akan pernah sia-sia.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give big round of applause for Ajeng Kamarati. Okay, the stage is yours.
Hello everyone, good morning. Apa kabar semuanya? Good morning as well to the excellencies and Ibu Rektor, selamat pagi. My name is Ajeng Kamarati. Yes, it was me last month. It was in Prague. I was presenting Indonesia in a conference, international conference with one of the ministries in Indonesia. So now I am here today. We're going to have 3 panels with, of course, it's ambassador talk. So we are going to talk with the ambassadors here. So before that, I would like you to give a round of applause to all of you who are very keen today to know more about higher education, especially in ASEAN. So the first session, we will be talking about the role of higher education in supporting ASEAN community building. What we are going to talk about is how the country should prepare and the point of view of higher education today from the ambassadors. And of course, they will share some views about higher educations in their country. Without further ado, please welcome the Norwegian ambassador to Indonesia, His Excellency Kiel Tormod Petersen. Good morning, Mr. Ambassador. Nice meeting you too. Please. And we will have as well with me the Malaysian ambassador to Indonesia, Her Excellency Dato Nur Iza. Good morning and welcome. your seat over here. So this would be your mic. Okay. Yes, you can take it anytime. How are you? You're good? Everyone is. So, did you take the train to go here or did you take a car? Because we've got the speed train. I did a speed train today. I did take. So, have anyone experienced the speed train?
Yeah, I did take the train this morning.
Oh, really? And how was it?
I must say, very efficient, no traffic. I arrived in 40 minutes
In
sharp.
40 minutes sharp. And you, His Excellency?
Thank you. I had a pleasure to take it last night. Everything worked very well. And I recently also was in Laos. They also had a speed train. I think this was more speedy.
Ah, okay, nice. So now, this morning, the first session, we are going to talk about higher education. So to start, the first one would be, how is the higher education today from the ambassador's point of view? Maybe it will start from Dato Aziza.
I guess first, if you ask me, I think ASEAN has a slogan. It's one vision, one identity, and one community. So I would love to see universities nowadays work towards this vision. So you are just not talking about university for the needs of capacity building for the country, but you have to look beyond as we are supporting the community building in ASEAN. So the university also have to work towards achieving the goals and vision of ASEAN in general. That is what I would think so. Yeah.
Okay, so all the universities has to work together with the same vision to reach the goal, because however there are a lot of good universities outside ASEAN, and of course ASEAN has to be one of the promising universities in the world. So for you, His Excellency, what do you think? What is your point of view about higher education?
I think actually you're doing quite well compared to what I come from Europe. So when I look at ASEAN, I look at it from the European perspective. I remember I'm an older man now and took my education 40 years ago. And I remember as a young diplomat, one of my first tasks was to negotiate Norwegian access to Erasmus program, which is about European community and unity. And I look here at ASEAN, you also are basically moving in the same direction. Use the education as a sort of main pillar to create a common unity understanding. I think it's important wanting to have a kind of common educational system. It's also important to address the issues you're facing. I belong to a generation where our future was quite predictable. Nowadays, the youth has a much more complicated world to navigate, both in short and long term. Speaking about environmental issues, speaking about high political tensions. So I think to build a kind of common community, you also must have the right objectives, so you're able to educate the proper good leaders, because this is complicated world you are running into. Thank you.
So the world, yeah, sure.
If I may add on your questions, I think many of the ASEAN countries inherited the education system from our forefathers and also from the colonial states, right? Like Malaysia is very much a British system, and Indonesia probably a little bit of Dutch system, and then some others with French and all that. But I think over the years, ASEAN has progressed. All the university in respective country has progressed with their own identity. But as I said, moving forward, we are just not looking into inward as in domestic needs, but also the needs of the region and the world. So we are preparing, the university should be preparing leaders for the future, and then preparing sets of skills and knowledge to prepare to address issues of today and tomorrow. Thank you.
So there are a lot of things to prepare as well to catch or to reach the same vision and the same goal for the future. So talking about the preparation, how the country should prepare to support ASEAN community building. Maybe start from His Excellency.
Thank you. Norway, we are not a full-fledged partner to ASEAN, but a sectorial dialogue partner. But education is one of our priorities, and we have one program which I would like to mention here. We have actually called it ASEAN Master Study in Sustainability. It's located with Gajah Mada in Yogyakarta, and the study is offered to all ASEAN countries. So I think for the moment we have 40 students have been passed through that program, and they are also offered a study stay in Norway as part of the master. I think this is part of building, at least a contribution from our side, to build the ASEAN community, and also we are addressing the sustainability issue with a business and economic perspective. The economy has to run in the future too. If you don't get the economy to run, we fail. So we think this is something good we do, but I see this is little in the bigger picture. Well, we try to do what we think is the right thing. So, but there's something to build on there.
Yeah, if I may know, what is the vision? I mean, like maybe there's a regional partnership between Norwegia and Indonesia in the future for the higher education. Maybe there is some plans of higher education preparations or plans between Norwegia and Indonesia in the future.
Yeah, there is actually, we don't have that kind of programs anymore. Indonesian students are welcome to apply for Norwegian places scholarships in Norway, but it's not kind of scholarship that we dash out at the embassy level, but it's up to the individual student to go to the websites of the universities and apply and get access, and then we get supported. And I also know there are Norwegian students coming down here for shorter or long terms. Most of the students are in Georgia. Sorry to say that here in Bandung, but
Okay, the same question. How is the preparation for or to build the ASEAN community in a higher education nowadays for you, Her Excellency? How the country should prepare to support ASEAN community?
Okay. First, of course, ASEAN is progressing. I mean, on the whole, as the region, we are progressing in many ways. But at the same time, we do still have facing a lot of challenges, right? So I would think every one of us, number one, I think increasing the level of literacy and also to equip our population with enough knowledge and skills is important, because that will be the most important tools to move a country forward, because only an educated society will be able to be productive and able to make use of the resources in the country to progress economically or socially. And then secondly, I think through education, we are able to, because I think nowadays university is just not about teaching, but university is also a place where people from different background, different religion, different cultures gathered. So therefore, it is beyond the classroom thing that you learn how to understand each other, how to work with people of different background, different religion, and that will help to create a better understanding, and I think learning the best ability of others will only make us improve. So I think that interactions is important, and that is why I see nowadays university has already a lot of exchanges program, not just within university internally, but also within ASEAN, right? Not just within Indonesia, but Indonesia and Malaysia. And I understand from Ibu Retno just now, University Padjadjaran has been already having some collaboration with university in Malaysia. So we definitely want to tap the best from both worlds, right? To make us progress and improve further.
Okay, the best of both worlds. Okay, so last but not least, before we're going to the next session, it will be question and answer. So all of you are welcome after to ask questions to our ambassadors. So please share and tell us about your higher educations in your country. How is it like? Higher education in Norwegia, for instance.
How it is?
It like? Yeah.
Yeah, we have a very high degree of people taking higher education, maybe too high. What is lacking is more the kind of a professional level, what you call the vocational training. We have a strong educational system. I think, I just say that's there's already a discussion how much you should have a research, academic work related to education. And I agree with my Malaysian colleague here that education is not only about knowledge, it's about creating culture, creating understanding, creating harmony, creating political census in the future. I think education, at least I look at my kids, so on, it's a starting point for everything in life, and everybody should be included. Nobody should be left behind. So I think we get to a stage in our society now that we might need more what they call practical skills in our workforce, and not only academics. Thank you.
Okay, so that we have the views about higher education of in Norwegia, in your country. So how is it in Malaysia?
I think one of the vision of Malaysian government is always to strive to be the hub of education in the region. So we have, I think, 9 public university, and the number of universities in the privately run are actually in the increasing. In fact, we have also run many training programs, especially from the private university. A lot of them actually do have trainings program with university in Australia, New Zealand, and UK, and many others. So in the recent years, I think it is also in the government policy is to encourage, we call it TVET, which is vocational education, which we think it is important, as Malaysia is striving to be the a country of, how to say, high technology. So we are preparing our populations in that science and technology and innovation sector now. That is our priority. But having said that, other subjects are equally important because, you know, even in agriculture, in others, social sciences subject, it's still important to us. Yeah, so I must say we are doing quite well. In fact, sometimes we do say some of our education, especially in the high school level, is a little bit exam oriented. And one thing I must be proud is I say, girls in Malaysia are doing better in education because of the way. So you see more and more young girls in the university, and when they get out from the university, they are holding higher jobs in higher position in the job field, which is one positive things that we are seeing as compared to when we first gained independence. Yeah.
Okay, that is interesting. If I might add a question, what made it change? I mean, why girls nowadays are more into educations? What changed it?
Some people say that because girls benefited from the system, which is a bit more exam oriented, because girls are usually more disciplined. in that sense, yeah. But anyway, I must say, everybody is determined to want a better life, and only parents are also knowing that only through education you can change, right? Especially population in the rural region. So we are bringing up, government are giving a lot of incentive to encourage students from a smaller town and or a poorer town to go to university, because only with education these people can go back to their own region to develop the regions and help in especially in the economic sphere. So I think that as well motivate a lot of students coming to further their studies. Yeah.
They came to realize that knowledge is power, so they go to higher educations. So before the question and answer session, we're going to see the speech of Cambodian ambassador to Indonesia that has been recorded before, His Excellency Heng Sanit. There you go.
Excellency Ambassador dari National University of Indonesia, Chair of the CEO, Respected Master at all ASEAN dialogue partners, esteemed distinguished professor, moderator, panelists, and dear students, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, and thank you for your presence. It's great to be here to share my thoughts on the role of higher education in supporting ASEAN community building. Higher education plays a pivotal role in preparing student learners to acquire relevant skills and achieve a collaborative mindset as they move toward population of ASEAN community and support of the consolidation of ASEAN community. The regionalization of higher learning has been identified as a key factor in the ASEAN community process. Towards this regionalization of higher education, we must invest in system research, empowerment, and development of innovative mechanisms that encourage knowledge sharing and collaboration. Achieving regionalization across ASEAN countries ensure a uniform standard of education across all higher education institutions. As we work toward this goal, our focus rests on four significant areas: in enhancing student mobility, facilitating credit transfer, ensuring quality assurance, and cultivating research clusters. These steps are pivotal for harmonizing the ASEAN higher education system. The ultimate ambition is to create a common space of higher education system in Southeast Asia, thereby facilitating a seamless transition of graduates from one ASEAN member state to employment opportunity in another ASEAN member state. This initiative not only aims to improve the quality of human resources, but also foster a regional identity and stimulate economic growth. Further, regionalization of higher learning system open avenue for deeper collaboration and integration between universities across the region, thereby elevating the global standing of ASEAN university. As an active member of ASEAN, Cambodia has consistently championed the community building effort of ASEAN. We understand that higher education is Cambodia play a crucial role in this endeavor, recognizing the potential of highly qualified graduates in fostering regional competitiveness and establishing a regional knowledge-based economy. Cambodia remains steadfast in its commitment. The ASEAN Social Cultural Community, ASCC, one of the three pillars of ASEAN, is committed to enhancing social welfare, advocating for social justice, and improving the overall quality of life for people in the region. In this pursuit, the ASCC Council actively engage our youth, recognizing their potential as the torchbearer of the community building and as catalysts for economic, social, and cultural development. The modern journey for socio-economic development has been commendable. Our developmental trajectory is deeply rooted in our membership in ASEAN. Local has diligently worked toward integrating its economy with the broader ASEAN community, strengthening both hard and soft infrastructure in synchronization with master plan on ASEAN This commitment to ASEAN not only commits significant positive developmental outcome for the community, but also for its ASEAN partners. Internationalization of higher education is crucial for the developmental trajectory. It is imperative to approach internationalization strategically, enhancing buy-in among key stakeholders, refining our conceptual framework, and establishing a governmental funded comprehensive policy and investment program. This strategic approach will better position Cambodia to support ASEAN community building reform and contribute to the overall development of the region. During our 10th year as ASEAN chair in 2022 last year, Cambodia placed a strong emphasis on ASCC pillar, focusing on enhancing social welfare, advocating for social justice, and improving the living standard in the region. Our views, the future of ASEAN, were central to our initiative as we sought to engage them in community building reform and in fostering economic, social, and cultural development. One of our key achievements was the launch of ASEAN Youth Dialogue. This initiative aimed at equipping our young population with skills needed for the digital era, focusing on entrepreneurial spirit, and promoting ASEAN awareness and identity. This program has been successful in creating a network of young leaders who are now better prepared to address the social, cultural, and economic challenges faced by our region. The year 2022 was designated as Year of ASEAN Youth. Under the online campaign platform at ASEAN Youth 2022, ASEAN invites young people and partners across the region to amplify message on their leadership in community development throughout the region. Lastly, the body has made significant strides toward gender equality and women empowerment in the region. The second ASEAN Women Leader Dialogue was one of such initiatives that provide a platform for women leaders to share their experience, discuss challenges, and formulate strategies for further advancement of women in the region. In summary, the body tenure as ASEAN Chair in 2022 under ASCC pillar has been productive and impactful. We have made strides in youth empowerment, public health, cultural heritage preservation, climate resilience, and gender equality. These achievements are not an end in themselves, but stepping stones toward a future that is prosperous, equitable, and sustainable for all ASEAN citizens. Our vision for a resilient, prosperous, inclusive, and resilient ASEAN community continue to guide our action. And I am optimistic that we will continue to build on this achievement in 2023 and beyond. The body fully supports all initiatives across the three pillars under Indonesia ASEAN Chairmanship under the theme ASEAN Era Ecosystem Approach. Thank you very much for the time.
Okay, so that was Cambodian Ambassador Representative to ASEAN, His Excellency Heng Sarith. So, as I promised before, there will be room for question and answer session because we've got 10 minutes for this. We will open for the first 2 questions, okay? The one here and the one over there. Okay, for the next session. We keep it for the next session. Okay, silahkan boleh mic-nya. Tadi yang di sini berdiri, silahkan. For the mic will be from the, yes. Your name and your questions, please.
My name is Dimas Ananda Satria from Social and Cultural Studies. So my question, first of all, thank you for the wonderful presentation. My question would be, how can you build a sustainable, high standard university education system from the communal level to the regional level? And what advantages do you think really matters most to that development? For example, the culture itself, the environment, the economy, the people. Thank you.
Okay, Dimas, thank you so much. And the second one, so we're going to collect the questions first before answering it. And there is a goodie bag for you because your question. Okay, the second one would be from this row. Panitia boleh mic-nya.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. First thing first, let me introduce myself. I'm Mufti Kamilian Sani from International Relations at Padjadjaran University, and I'm still in third semester. So, as the Miss and Mr. Ambassador of Norwegia and Malaysia said, is a master plan for enhanced ASEAN community, for examples like solving literacy index stagnancies and trying to apply technological educations. But I really concerned about education backwardness in several underdevelopment areas, such as when I'm teaching at the Indonesian embassy in Sentul, Malaysia, Kelantan, and Terengganu on the east coast of peninsular Malaysia, because there is no adequate facility to support technological-based education that Miss Malaysia Ambassador said. So I want to ask, is there any concrete action related to partnership or perhaps an interstate collaborative educational curriculum that is focused to solve some problem regarding to underdeveloped and remote areas, maybe like Indonesia-Malaysia Educational Partnership or Indonesia-Norwegian Educational Partnership? Because, yeah, I asked this because in December I'm planning to go to underdeveloped areas of Malaysia and Indonesia to become a teaching volunteer with several NGO. Thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs.
Thank you, Ofi, for the question. So we've got two questions here. The first question, how to build a sustainable and high educations. Maybe you can share the experience from your country. Yes, you can go first, Dato.
I'm really not an expert in education, but in general, if you ask me how to sustain a high standard in the higher education, of course, the pool of professors in the university is important. That is one. Secondly, I think exposure of students to a lot more collaborations, especially with the industry concerned, it's another, because sometimes we only start, I mean, my own experience, I mean, I left school many years ago, but I think a most important thing students need to practice before they really go to the job market. So we have to equip them with a lot of real life experience in how to say, applying what they study. That is another one. And of course, interactions or engagement or exchanges between universities is another. I think this, having said this, is not necessary, because I know not every student will have a chance to study abroad. But bringing professors or lecturers from other university outside the region is also another way of exchanges of what do you call it? Exchanges. I just lost my word. Yeah, and exchanges of teaching professors, and then collaboration in research and in R&D is also another important area of how to increase the standards of a higher education, in my opinion. And since I'm having the mic, I would like to answer the questions of the second student. I hope I get you right. First, I must say, as I said, in the increasing, we are increasing the number of university, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have developed into almost every state in Malaysia now has a university. a state university. So because of the expansion of the number of university, each university have their uniqueness. So it is unfair to say that they're not equipped, because not all universities focus on really science and technology, because some universities, for example, are more focused on agricultural studies, some are more focused on maritime study. It depends really on the location where the university is. And of course, most of the university receive funding from the central government. I mean, at least for the state-owned university, they receive funding from the Ministry of Higher Education, and also support from different donors, including state government, and also other, sometimes from industries, key industry players, they do also donate. And of course, some of them do have collaboration. Some university, because some are just very young university and some are very long established. So those who have long established, they have already very stable exchanges with partners like our ambassadors who are here. I mean, with Australian, with different countries really, within ASEAN as well. And also some successful corporates or companies do also sponsors. I think we also encourage some key players like motor industries or high-tech industry to invest R&D centers in university. So it all depends how the university do their lobbying. I think one of the, probably Ibu Rector will be agreeing with me, is one of the key challenges for university administrator is to attract industry key player to invest in the university on the areas which is related to them. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So, His Excellency, you've got your answer.
Yeah, I think you answered very well. I think there was a question to start was the sustainability and what is most important skills. What we observe that the big companies and the good leaders, they have more skills than one. You're not an economist only any longer. You have other skills, or you have good advisors, which is not an economist, maybe in social science, in human skills, in technology, and so on. I think that is the kind of the future we see, and that is sustainability about. You can't say this is more sustainable than the other, but just to have the overview and to make sure that you have the right competence and that you have the right way to make decisions, that you're convinced what you do, that the decision to make is the best ever you can do. So that's a big challenge for the educational system, to have that kind of multiple approach to the future education. When it comes to partnership, as I mentioned, I think we don't have kind of any that kind of programs any longer. But if there's one advice I want to give when it comes to ASEAN, is that have joint educational programs. If you compare to Europe, that has been kind of a very important success factor for the European community, is that to have joint educational programs, not only for students, but also kind of facilitate the mobility of the academic staff and teachers. And they are the best ambassadors and champions for the community and the common identity. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your answer. So to sum up this session, the first session, so a university has to work together for the same vision to reach the goal together. And of course, education is a huge pillar to support community building and to increase the skill levels of literacy and education. This is the only way to progress economically and educationally. So thank you so much for the ambassador of Malaysia to ASEAN, and ambassador of Norway to ASEAN. Thank you so much for your time. Please give a big round of applause to the ambassadors. Please stay here because we're going to give you a souvenir as our thank you, and the souvenir will be handed by the Professor Dr. Rina Indiastuti SAMSEA. So this is going to be our souvenir for the first session. Yes. Thank you so much to our speakers for the first session. The Ambassador of Malaysia to ASEAN, Her Excellency Dato Nur Iza. And for the second one, the Ambassador of Norway to ASEAN, His Excellency Kiel Tormod Peterson, who are going to receive the souvenir as well. So this is a very unique way to give a souvenir. And there would be another one. This is special from West Java. Thank you so much for all the speakers, and to the professor, thank you so much. So that was our first session for today. We will have 3 sessions. Okay, for the second session, we are going to talk about the challenges and opportunities of higher education in ASEAN. There are a lot of things that we are going to talk about because, of course, there are a lot of challenges and we have to find the opportunity of higher education. So, please welcome the Ambassador of Russia to ASEAN, His Excellency Evgeny Zagainov. And we're going as well to invite the CDA of Singapore, His Excellency Tam Bort Sen. Okay, gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. So we've got a lot of questions here, and of course there will be a lot of questions as well from the people here, from the students. We're going to talk about the challenges about higher education. So what do you think about the challenges of higher education in ASEAN? Maybe start from you.
Yes, thank you very much. But before trying to address your question, I would like to, well, first of all, thank Ibu Rector, thank Ambassador Raman for organizing this event, for the opportunity to participate in this discussion, and for the opportunity to visit Padjadjaran University, well, for the warmest hospitality. Thank you very much. Well, actually, I would be frank, the topic of the panel is quite on the challenges and opportunities is a bit quite challenging for me also, because as other ambassadors, I'm not an expert in the field of education, but certainly I would try to share my views, my assessments in this regard, perhaps not very professional ones. Indeed, times are very challenging for everyone, including students. Remembering my times, the time of my when I was student, we had to compete between ourselves. We had to compete. Well, university had to compete between themselves, universities. But now we have to compete with the artificial intelligence. We have to compete with ITs and other technological factors. Well, the labor market is undergoing huge changes. Currently, I think everyone would agree that some professions are likely to disappear shortly. For example, from my diplomatic experience, I would say that probably in the United Nations, the well, they have a huge number of translators. I think that they still have the job just due to the trade unions and to the labor arrangements. Otherwise, artificial intelligence could do this job already quite fine. These days, I think in the United Kingdom, there will be a summit organized dedicated to the, actually it's going on, dedicated to artificial intelligence and its consequences for the labor market, among other things. So this is something very challenging, very international, and we would, all of us should think about the best way to address it. Well, on the other hand, my impression, my opinion is that the requirements of the labor market, the requirements of employees have been changing quite drastically also in last years. On the other hand, there is a growing demand for narrow specialists, but ready to, having enough skills to go straight to a complicated job, to complicated work immediately after graduating from the university. On the other hand, the requirements are changing very fast. Education takes time. It's probably 15 years that a person gets educated, gets his or her education. Probably 15 years or more are necessary, but the requirements of the labor market change much faster. There are, some unforeseeable factors, so to say, black swans, including geopolitical issues, technological advances, environmental issues, and so on and so forth. So, on the other hand, the people that graduate from a university have to be, in order to be competitive, have to be prepared to start working immediately with in this or that particular area, with skills, with necessary skills for this. At the same time, they need to have a space for adjustment. They should know, they should be able to adjust to the changing requirements of the labor market and of their employer. Those are, to name just a couple of major challenges that I think is quite international and that will remain in the near future.
Okay, so the competition is real. It's not only with ourselves, or it's not only with other students, but as well we have to think about the artificial intelligence in the future. So what do you think, His Excellency, about this, Mr. Tambok Tsen? The challenges that we are facing right now, what do you think?
And opportunities as well. So let me start by recalling my time at higher education. I think it's been a while, but I remember very fondly. I mean, I wasn't educated in Singapore, sorry, but in the UK. But I remember fondly that I spent besides spending a lot of time in the libraries, I do other pursuits. I was a student politician. I ran for election. My slogan was Borg. I mean, if you track it to Star Trek, you'll know that Borg, resistance futile, vote for me, right? So, but definitely will not be a politician in Singapore. I don't think it will work. But I chased girls, rejected lots of times, drank lots, But so I think my point is that the world is your oyster at uni. I mean, you can seize the opportunity. I mean, building on the point about AI, as His Excellency, the Russian ambassador, sort of said, you have to, this is the point. In university, the university will provide you with the opportunities, basically the networks, student exchanges, going to, let's say, for example, Russia, New Zealand, Australia, Singapore, internships and all that in the private sector. These are opportunities for you. You should seize on it. It is your sort of take. rather than the other way around that university will provide you. I mean, universities are doing all these things for you, but seize on it. And the point is that of constant learning as well. The opportunity is difficulty is there. That the AI stuff is coming up. You know, you might be replaced, you might not be replaced. But actually, to be honest, I think you will have to learn new stuff. So one of the things that drum up to us in the Foreign Service in Singapore is the fact that you got to keep constantly learning. I'll cite you an example that when I was doing, I've been doing ASEAN for a while. I think this is terrible. Been doing ASEAN for a while, and as part of the chairmanship team in 2018, in 2017, I think 2016 onwards, when we see the idea of what we're going to do for the chairmanship 2018, I led the team to do smart cities. And obviously, you know, I don't know, to be honest, jack about smart cities, right? But I learned, I read a lot, I met a lot of people, I've read the private sector. People think I'm lobbying for jobs, but I ain't doing that. You know, and basically that's the point. So I guess that's the message, that opportunity and challenge are there, and it's for you to seize on it and to build on it. Thank you.
Okay, so of course there are a lot of challenges, but there's also a lot of opportunities. So we've been talking about the challenges. Now, how we could survive from that challenges, please. How we could survive.
Well, I hope that we will survive. On a more, so to say, specific note, well, as often happens, coins have two sides. So the challenges we face now are really connected with the opportunities. We also have, and the modern students have. For example, artificial intelligence is not only a challenge for all of us. Certainly, as I mentioned, some professions are likely to disappear, and people in the creative industry already feel the influence of the developments with the artificial intelligence. But on the other hand, certainly it offers huge opportunities in various areas of our life, including in education. This is the same with the IT technologies, the neural networks, and so on and so forth. The modern life offers also very good opportunities for academic mobility, which has already been mentioned by colleagues. This is also something modern students could benefit from, especially in ASEAN. These opportunities, I think, they are very high. There are many partner countries, many foreign countries that offer such opportunities for students from the states of the region. And of course, one should also try to explore his or her internal, so to say, capacities to adapt to the modern reality. After all, in any times education, it's work, it's hard work. So probably those challenges could be one more incentive to work even harder for all of us. Thanks.
Okay, it's hard work, and we don't know what will come in the future. But as well, as you said, Mr. Ambassador, we have to keep consistent. Consistency is the key. So the same question goes to you: how could we survive with the challenges?
I guess to build on Ambassador Rush's point, let me cite you another story. I used to serve in Russia, you know, and when I went to Russia for the very grim February 2003. I'm revealing my age. 2003. It was middle of winter, and it was snowing. It was cold. And on the first week, I really questioned myself as to why I accepted a posting to Russia. I mean, no, but that was the first week. It was very, very cold, very, very cold. And the point is, it's about, again, it's building on my theme about seizing the opportunity, keep learning stuff. I want to make a plug for Australia, but he left for, I mean, for example, last week, I attended a conference organized by Australia on political security matters. And I learned about AI and how the fact that the point is it is not in a negative sense. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to enhance productivity, right? And going the fact that levels of productivity among sort of all of us have been reduced, but it's the boost rather than a negative sort of trend to it. That's the other point is that so I guess the how do we Pastor Will, I just make a plug for your thing last week about learning political security matters and AI and all that, right? So it was great. But to basically the opportunity is to seize on it, to learn on it, and not to be afraid of it.
Not to be afraid of it, yes, because however we have to face and we have to survive with all the challenges. So the last question before we go to the next session is what are the opportunities of higher education in ASEAN? And maybe you can reflect it with the higher education in your country as well.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Indeed, I think it would be remiss if, all of us as representatives of our countries do not advertise the possibilities and the opportunities that offer our states, our countries. Perhaps a couple of words on the steps that are being taken in Russia to tackle the modern challenges that we have tried to discuss. There are different areas in which we are working. First of all, it's improving the capacity of teachers and educators themselves, because this is also an important factor in this regard. And this is also something that we are working on. Then there is a program to develop 21st century skills, not only for students, but for population, for broader population in general. Certainly, new approaches to engineering education are being formed. There are projects, engineering classes, engineering schools. They provide training for engineering personnel for high-tech sectors of the economy, including digital economy. And speaking of digitalization, there's a project, digital departments, that allow students to obtain IT qualifications in addition to their main specialty. By 2024, there will be more than 210,000 students that will receive such additional IT qualifications. So it might sound a bit bureaucratic, but there are different areas, different programs that are being implemented in order to tackle the modern challenges. And of course, one of them is promotion of academic mobility. In Russia, we have more or less 750 universities, both state universities and private universities. Recently, the number of scholarships for foreign students has been increased. It's 30,000 places currently. The total number of the foreign students in Russia now is over 350,000 foreign students, and more than 80 of them are from the Asian region. Actually, when I was preparing for this event, those numbers seemed quite impressive to me. But after I learned the number of the students in Padjadjaran University, they do not look to me so high, but still this is quite considerable number. Well, we have a bilateral program. We have a working group with ASEAN states on education. There is a working plan, so there are practical opportunities to contribute to higher education in ASEAN. Actually, I think many know the advantages of higher education. Of course, one of the challenges here would be the language, but there are also programs that are bilingual or based on English language. At the same time, studying Russia, I know that there are students here in this university that study Russian, and it would also provide additional opportunities to improve it. Basically, almost 20% of more than 20% of the foreign students in Russia, they study medicine, but there are also natural sciences, physics, nuclear physics, some other areas where we can offer high standard education. Probably, yes, I will stop here. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so there are a lot of opportunities still, but maybe the language would be a bit difficult. But if I may know, just quick question: are there any English speaking classes or English speaking university in Russia? It's just my curiosity.
Yes, there are. They are not there are not many, but for foreign students there are courses in English or bilingual courses. But still, you would need you need Russian to live in Russia, and my colleague would confirm it. Just perhaps I would mention that probably it might look as if Russia is very, very far away, but it's, we have a very strong university in Vladivostok, so the distance between ASEAN states and Vladivostok is not so huge, so this is something that students could really explore. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, what are the opportunities there in Singapore?
Okay, so I guess in Singapore, as you all know, and I guess a broader ASEAN trend as well, that it's about digitization. It's about more and more stuff, and ASEAN, to bring it back to ASEAN, there's a broader sort of digital play to it. The ASEAN starting the negotiations of the ASEAN Digital Economy Agreement, and so on. So I guess, Singapore, of course, you have all these universities and US and stuff, but I think the broader point that I wanted to make is that because of this whole increasing digitization sort of trend, it's all the more that there should be physical presence, there should be student exchange programs, going to different universities around the region, interacting with other fellow students, exchanging ideas and so on. And of course, it is not only governments but also the private sector that plays a part. I think the Malaysian ambassador has made a point about companies sponsoring, giving the internships, experience, practical and experience. And also in US companies as well. They think the US ambassador just walked in. And so on and so forth, Google and everything like that. And I guess the point about doing ASEAN is the fact that you listen to your own foreign minister's speeches so many times that you can recite their talking points. And of course, one of his talking points is usually how ASEAN is the third or fourth largest economy in the world, 620 million people, and all that kind of stuff. But one of the most interesting things that I found when doing smart cities and all that kind of stuff, digitization, is the fact that there is a growing, truthfully growing young population here, especially in Indonesia. And the whole startup scene that you have here I cite the example, I didn't bring all the partners in, right? I cite the example how for India, during the run-up to the most recent summit, I tried to escape going to my delegation's hotel very early by volunteering to go to an Indian side event organized by India. And of course, that's when I met a few people. And one of the things that I met was this lady that was doing stuff on WhatsApp, not WhatsApp, it's an app on getting different construction companies together. Like it's an app by which you have the workers, professional who wants to work, and you have the companies that want to employ the worker and so on and so forth. I mean, this is a great app if you can sort of regionalize it. So you guys have all the opportunities of the skills, and this is digitization and the fact that there should be more interactions together as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Before we go to question and answer, we would like to see the speech. We would like to watch the speech from the Ambassador of India to ASEAN, His Excellency Jayan N. Kobragade. There you go.
Dear Ambassador Jagyaman, Professor Lecturer, India Stuti, Excellencies, friends and colleagues. I am back in India with my parents for a small vacation, and hence I am not able to participate in person, but I consider myself privileged to get an opportunity to say a few words. So before I mention an intense interaction between ASEAN and India in the field of education and capacity building, let me try to put the things in context. All of you have noted and appreciated soft landing on the southern pole of moon of India's mission, the Chandrayaan, in August 2023. Subsequently, we have sent mission Aditya closer to the sun to conduct study on the sun. And a few days back, we have successfully taken steps for our aspiration to send a manned mission called as Gaganyaan. On the other level, if you look at the chief executive officers of many multinationals such as Alphabet, Google, Microsoft, YouTube, Adobe, World Bank Group, IBM, Starbucks, and so on, all are Indian educated leaders. Now, all of you are aware of the Make in India initiative of Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi. So the President of World Bank, Shri Ajay Banga, he described himself as Make in India product, and similarly so many of them. So by virtue of their being CEOs of such multinationals, in fact, almost every individual's life, on the earth is touched by the Indian education system. Let me now talk about the ecosystem for startups in India. India already ranks globally third in the ecosystem, in this ecosystem. In the year 2021, India has produced 45 unicorns, and in 2022, 22 unicorns, just in one calendar year. So now we have almost more than 100,000 registered startups in India in 56 diverse areas of the industry. This is the context. India is the largest democracy in the world. India is the largest country population-wise. So innovation is the way to meet the aspiration of the people by bringing the cost down and improving quality of life. So let me come to the scholarship part. The scholarships provided by Government of India offer opportunities to students and scholars from ASEAN to acquaint themselves with this ecosystem of aspiration for the better quality of life, aspiration to address the problem and find the best solution, aspiration to continuously innovate. Capacity building and education has always been an important area of cooperation between ASEAN and India. Half a century back, India had launched ITEC program, Indian Technical Cooperation, Technical and Economic Cooperation, and bilaterally the courses are offered to different countries. So similarly, they were offered to the ASEAN. They have been offered to the ASEAN member states as this is one of the flagship programs which still continues. Then this is supported by scholarships provided through Indian Council for Cultural Relations. Under ASEAN-India framework, we have taken many initiatives. Scholarships in Nalanda University for postgraduate studies is one of such programs. By the way, let me mention here that this university, Nalanda University, has been supported by the East Asia Summit process initially. Under the Science and Technology program, a lot of collaborative research activities go on. We have received a lot of praise for this particular program as probably one of the best model for collaboration in the field of science and technology. We have established Center for Excellence for Software Development in CNMV countries. In fact, I had the opportunity to visit the center in Vientiane, where by then, by last year, more than I think 400 candidates already had undergone the courses. We are now offering scholarships for the Indo-Pacific countries in the field of infrastructure development. More importantly, we have established ASEAN-India network of universities. This is for faculty exchange. The program has already taken on. Nalanda University is again the focal point. 9 universities from India and 7 universities from ASEAN are participating. Let me take this opportunity to appeal to Professor Rector to become part of ASEAN-India network of university and contribute to enhancing people-to-people contacts and build bridges, as we are duty-bound to pass on to the next generation our millennia-old ties and commonalities in values, cultures, tradition, etc., while making them contemporary. I wish the conference all the success and thanks once again for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much and have a good afternoon.
Thank you so much. It was the Ambassador of India to ASEAN, and the next one is the speech from Ambassador of European Union to ASEAN, His Excellency Sujiro Siem.
Your Excellency Padjadjaran, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Indonesia to ASEAN, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Rector of Padjadjaran Universitas, Rectors of other universities, students, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sujiro Siem and I am the Ambassador of the European Union to ASEAN. I am honored to participate in the Ambassador's talks on higher education in ASEAN and in particular contribute to the third panel on strengthening academic mobility and capacity of higher education in ASEAN through cooperation and partnership. I very much regret not to be able to be present in person at the Padjadjaran Universitas, but I am happy to be able to share with you this message because higher education is one of the priorities of the European Union ASEAN strategic partnership. But let me focus on capacity and mobility. I know the theme for this third panel is cooperation and partnership, but I cannot ignore the fierce competition between the European Union and ASEAN on acronyms. Like ASEAN, the European Union has acronyms for everything. For mobility in higher education, this acronym is Erasmus. As for capacity in higher education, this acronym is SHARE. I will start with Erasmus. Erasmus started in 1987 and became one of the most successful student mobility exchange programs in the world, with 13 million of students enrolled. Erasmus is also credited for the birth of over 1 million babies from couples who met during their participation in the Erasmus. People must cite that the Erasmus program started as an acronym, as it stands for European Action Scheme for Mobility of University Students. Of course, Erasmus was also a Dutch philosopher of the 15th century who traveled from Rotterdam in the Netherlands to Oxford, Cambridge and London in the United Kingdom, to Calais, Paris and Orléans in France, to Torino, Bologna, Florence, Rome and Venice in Italy, to Köln and Freiburg in Germany. So he was himself quite an accomplished mobile scholar. For students of the 10 ASEAN member states, 200 scholarships are available every year for master degrees in the 27 European Union member states. Over the past 10 years, 5,500 students from ASEAN have taken advantage of these scholarships, and 3,000 students and staff from the European Union have completed studies or research in ASEAN member states' universities. In the particular case of Myanmar, the European Union Mobility Programme for Myanmar aims at supporting 600 students affected by the crisis to continue their higher education and university level in ASEAN and European Union universities. The first batch of 13 students were enrolled last July, and 14 more are expected in the months to come. Let me move to SHARE. This acronym stands for the European Union Support for Higher Education in the ASEAN region. This project started in 2015 and was completed in 2022 after 7 years. It represents an investment of 15 million euros from the European Union in the capacity of ASEAN higher education systems. Drawing from the experience of the European Union higher education area, its goal is to support standards and quality of ASEAN higher education institutions. With SHARE, the European Union contributed to the harmonization of ASEAN higher education, the launch of the ASEAN Quality Assurance Network as an official ASEAN body, the review and strengthening of ASEAN quality assurance frameworks, the dissemination of the ASEAN Qualification Reference Framework, the development of the national qualification frameworks in 10 ASEAN member states, the formulation of the roadmap for the ASEAN Higher Education Space 2025, and the increase of student mobility within ASEAN and from ASEAN to the European Union. The SHARE program ended in 2022, but the European Union plans to continue to support higher education in ASEAN through a Team Europe initiative, bringing together the European Union and its member states for sustainable connectivity, including people-to-people relations. In closing, I wish you success on your journey towards strengthening mobility and capacity of higher education in ASEAN, and I assure you that the European Union stands ready to continue to cooperate and partner with ASEAN. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much, and that was the ambassador of European Union to ASEAN. So, because our time is very short for the second session, but it will not be fair if I don't give a session for question and answer. So, I will open for only two quick questions. Boleh berdiri yang ingin bertanya, just quick questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
After
you.
Bapak.
My name is Yudi Nurul Ihsan from the Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science. Thank you, Miss Ajeng. I'm interested in the artificial intelligence. I think everybody familiar with this technology. Students also use this technology for their study. But except this is the opportunity, but I think it will give the negative impact. For example, I give the homework for the student for 1 week, but they can finish in 5 minutes with the smart result. So, but we believe we cannot stop this technology. We cannot prohibit students to use this technology. But how we can use this technology more wise, we still keep in integrity and ethics in higher education. Thank you.
That is the real challenge here, Pak, ya?
Yes.
Thank you so much. You will be given a goodie bag for your question. And we are going to collect the second question. Bapak, silahkan.
Okay, thank you. My name is Iqbal from Faculty of Nursing. Yeah, I'm interested with the speech from the two ambassadors. So, Mr. Ambassador, I have two questions exactly. The first is, according to your speech, that the first one, the challenge that we are facing is the AI, artificial intelligence. It's kind of, we have two-sided, the positive and negative side. So, as the Asian community, what is the role of the higher education community forum to support the development of the AI among the academician and also the students in Asian? As you know, that is still very, it's a high technology. However, we cannot stop it. We cannot prohibit these things. So, how the role of this community to foster the growth of the AI, but in a positive way? This is the first thing. And the second is about regarding the
the condition after the education. Of course, the student will find a job. So about the labor, as you mentioned, Mr. Ambassador from Russia, you mentioned that the labor market in the world will be depend on the quality of the human resource of the graduates. So how's the role of this community in Asia? And to support, I mean, is there any program to standardize the quality of the graduate from the Asian? So therefore, later on, when they graduate, they can work easily in every country without any task on just, for example, our student to get graduated from the Indonesia. So that means that they are standardized already in Asian, so they can go work in Singapore or even in Brunei or other countries, because we are in the Asian community. Because we believe that it has been happened in Europe, so they have European standard, and also they have like Erasmus and many others program that can foster this this program, of course. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Bapa, for the question. So the first question would be around AI. It is a very interesting topic. I think, how will we face it, and how this AI can support for higher education instead of being a barrier or being a challenge or being a problem. Mr.?
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, thank you very much for the questions. As I said in the beginning, I'm not an expert in education or in artificial intelligence either. So please consider. Please, approach my answers as answers of dilettante in these areas, but still, as for the artificial intelligence, actually the challenges of the artificial intelligence are much broader than challenges related to the labor market or to the education. And I think that at this point in time we do not realize even the scope and the implications, possible implications of these challenges. This is something that we should, I think, as a mankind, if we still, or humankind, if we still use this term, this is something we should really think about together. I know that there is a number of international initiatives in this regard. Since I'm a member of the International Law Commission, there is a Norwegian member of the ILC, Ambassador Fife, who proposed to start working on a convention in this regard. So this is something very comprehensive. Indeed, education and labor market are very important parts of this program, and indeed, it's very interesting that artificial intelligence is used by students for these purposes. I've never thought about it, but indeed this is something which we should also think about. As for the artificial intelligence in education, my opinion of a dilettante would be that probably, of course, it provides a huge access to knowledge, and you can save a lot of time with artificial intelligence, with the tools provided by artificial intelligence, in order to achieve the same results. So probably it could be also used in order to improve the technologies of higher education, as it is used in medicine, in pharmaceutics. Probably it can be used in order to make forecasts for the requirements of labor market in the near future, or in the future in general. So probably those would be the opportunities or possibilities we could talk about. If I may, the question concerning the possibilities and opportunities for ASEAN states in terms of the current challenges of the labor market, international labor market. They did. Probably this could be an additional area of cooperation between, or a new area of cooperation between ASEAN member states and partner states. Certainly it's related to education, and it's related to economics and other areas of our cooperation. If I'm not mistaken, there is a report of Cisco Corporation that says that by 2013 the same level of production in ASEAN 6 economies. I don't know why they use ASEAN 6, but this was in the report. So the labor force, in order to produce the same amount of products, will be 28 million persons less will be required to produce the same amount of GDP by 2030. So this is something that certainly would influence labor market in ASEAN, and which requires our attention even now. Attention of ASEAN states and of ASEAN member states. Again, one of the tools here would be academic mobility, in order for students to prepare better for different options, for the changing environment, labor environment. There are, as I said already, there are many opportunities for students to be from ASEAN member states in terms of academic mobility. Ambassador Jain just also mentioned, and the ambassador of the European Union just mentioned also, the opportunities provided in this regard, that exist in this regard. What I thought about our work here I think it should be student-oriented. And if I were a student now from a state of ASEAN, I would wonder if there is a database where I could easily find all the opportunities provided by all foreign partners, provided by all foreign partners. So I'm not sure there is such a database easily accessible for students from Indonesia or from other states. Certainly, for example, we in Russia, we do have these resources. I guess colleagues from other states could also refer to relevant websites of ministries of education or otherwise, but I'm not sure that there is a comprehensive a resource, a web resource that would allow young people from ASEAN states to explore all the opportunities that exist for them to study wherever in the world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Tambortsian, about AI and about the standardization of skills in Asia.
Yeah, thank you very much. Despite all the talk about AI, I have never used ChatGPT before, never. And I know. I mean, my son is using it. I mean, I don't know about the school thing, but yeah, okay, I was like, no. And I wouldn't write any. No, but I think the more general point is that it's I think build on the ambassador's point. It's about lifelong learning. I think this is very Singaporean talking point about lifelong learning. I mean, I cite the example of how, despite the fact that I'm not knowing, I've been trying to read around it, and attending the stuff that was sponsored by Australia last week on the political security issues, and basically I learned that the stuff that we do every day, there's always a bit of AI on it, like Google Translate or whichever. Or even listening to chatbots when you call up the banks and all that, and being impersonal and listening to them. So it's bits of AI on it. So and let's not take it too negatively. I think the way around it is to educate in terms of responsibility. And the university is the best place where lecturers and students can organize talks on on how to use AI responsibly and so on. I think the states are doing it. The EU has some stuff going on AI. If you are very savvy, tech savvy, which I think you are, you might want to Google some article by Reuters a few weeks ago. Don't tell me, I tell anybody, that there's some leak of a document prepared by ASEAN on some guidelines on AI. So do read about the article. I mean, it's public information since it's leaked, and all that. So ASEAN itself is doing stuff on AI. The second question, it's about skills. So my answer to that is skills. It is less about mobility, degree recognition, and okay, skills will get you more mobility. Less focus on degrees, but more focus on skills. I think that's the way. Let me cite you another story. Last week, or the week before, there's 20 events we are going to in Jakarta. One of this ASEAN Foundation thing. I mean, I used to be a judge years ago when I was doing ASEAN Championship, sponsored by this company, SAP, the German company. And then I was talking to one of the judge, and they were saying that there are two things. One, you're really skillful in coding, which they're looking for two types of people. One, they're looking at coding, and there are only some people can do it. I know that my son can't do it because he's having difficulty in coding, but it's okay. The other type of person they're looking for is people like us who have ability to integrate different kinds of information, and you don't have to be an expert at coding and stuff. So and that would take different skill sets, and that will learn how to do different skills to integrate, to know bits and stuff about it, to know history, and so on and so forth, law, the legal stuff, and to integrate it. So that also the other type of person they are looking for, right? So in any way, so my point is that it's skills that matter. AI is an opportunity to develop these skills, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope the answers answer your questions, gentlemen. I know AI is such a problem for every single person in the world, education, companies, etc. They have problems with this, but then again, with this discussion in this session, we have to see any opportunities and how to conquer it. So please give a round of applause to the Ambassador of Russia to ASEAN and CDA Singapore. And of course, we would like to give a bit of souvenir from Ibu Rektor. So this is going to be a gesture of thank you for being the speakers in this second session about Ambassador's talk on higher education. Professor Dr. Rina Indiastuti SAMSEA is giving the souvenir and explaining the souvenir itself to the Ambassador of Russia to ASEAN, His Excellency Evgeny Zagainov, as a speaker for the second session. And this is kujang, is a traditional weapon, very unique from East Java. Thank you so much, His Excellency, for being a speaker to the second session. And this is for CDA Singapore, His Excellency Tam Bok Sian, a souvenir from West Java. And don't forget, this is the weapon as a souvenir, weapon which is called kujang from West Java as well. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being speakers to our second session. Thank you, His Excellencies and Ibu Rina. So this is the end of the second session. Before we continue to the third session, we're going to see a performance. But then again, I will give this event handled by our MC. Please, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Mbak Ajeng, and also all panelists for this insightful session. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, ASEAN consists of various countries that have a lot of extraordinary cultures. On this beautiful occasion, we were enjoying together the special performance from the Universitas Padjadjaran students from the Faculty of Communication Science who will bring the dances of ASEAN countries. Inspired by the dances and music of ASEAN countries, the dance of colorful ASEAN encompasses the great diversity of ASEAN culture. Accompanied by the traditional attire of Southeast Asian countries, the students of Universitas Padjadjaran bring forth this performance to entertain our beloved guests and show our love to each one of the culture of ASEAN countries. They're not the professional dancers, but they are willing to practice to give the best performance for today's event. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for the dance of colorful ASEAN. Ladies and gentlemen, our next plenary session will begin shortly, and we are going to focus to talk about strengthening academic mobility and capacity of higher education in ASEAN through cooperation and partnership. So let's transition and continue to explore this topic in our next session. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome to the stage Mbak Ajeng Kamarati. The stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be 5 speakers, and then I assure you that you will have longer time for question and answer session. So please, you are welcome to prepare your questions. So our topic is strengthening academic mobility and capacity of higher education in ASEAN through cooperation and partnership. And our speakers would be. Please welcome the Australian Ambassador to ASEAN, His Excellency Will Nankervis. Okay, the next speaker would be the Ambassador of Canada to ASEAN, His Excellency Vicky Singmin. Okay, the next speaker would be the Ambassador of Japan to ASEAN, His Excellency Kuja Masahiko. And the next one would be the United States Ambassador to ASEAN, His Excellency Johannes Abede Abraham. So we will have the Philippines ambassador, but he is still on the way. So we will start this question and answer session to the ambassadors. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. So I will have like one questions that will be answered by the speakers. What do you think about the academic mobility in the ASEAN, and how is the strategy to strengthen the academic mobility and higher education capacity? Maybe it will start from you.
Well, thanks very much. It's really great to be here. Thank you very much to the rector and also to Pak for this opportunity, and great to have the chance to interact with all the students from Universitas Padjadjaran. So I guess I'll speak a bit from an Australian perspective, because of course we can talk about mobility, university education mobility within ASEAN and also between ASEAN and its partners. So I think the first thing to say is that Australia is really fortunate in that there's huge mobility already between Australia and the countries of ASEAN in education, in primary education, but also particularly in university education and also technical and vocational education and training. And that's really enriched Australia in so many ways. It's been part of the exchange between Australia and Indonesia and Australia and the countries of Southeast Asia. It's been a pathway to immigration. We have over 1 million people of Southeast Asian origin living in Australia, and higher education has been a really big part of that immigration and strengthening those links between Australia and the people of Southeast Asia. I think in terms of opportunities for mobility and exchange on higher education, there's already a lot of collaboration between institutions in Australia and institutions in Southeast Asia. So, for example, with Indonesia, between Australia and Indonesia, there are over 300 partnerships between our institutions and institutions in Indonesia. And those are things like joint programs, exchanges, research partnerships, and that research partnership is really important. And one of the increasing trends that we're seeing is Australian universities opening campuses in Southeast Asia. So Ambassador Michu mentioned the range of Australian campuses right across Malaysia, in the capital Kuala Lumpur, but also in Sabah and Sarawak. There are Australian university campuses in Jakarta. And at our annual leaders meeting, Prime Minister Albanese and Pak Jokowi announced that 3 new Australian universities are looking to open campuses in Indonesia. So Deakin University, Western Sydney University, and Central Queensland University will be establishing campuses in Bandung, Surabaya, and Balikpapan.
Okay.
One more thing to say, which does go to mobility within ASEAN, and Borg mentioned this, which is qualification recognition. So this is something that I think is really important, that ASEAN's come a long way with, and Australia's been really proud and pleased to support and to continue to support, because the greater the understanding and recognition of qualifications, the greater the mobility between universities and the greater the opportunity for exchange. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the next one, the same question would be for the Ambassador of Canada to ASEAN, Her Excellency Vicky Singmin. So the academic mobility and of course how to strengthen the mobility itself.
Thank you very much, and it's really great. It's really great to be here, and my thanks to Ambassador Derry, who seems to have briefly left us, but I'm sure we'll be back. But to him and of course to the university as well, and Madam Rector, thank you very much for hosting us, and a huge thanks to the students for coming out here to listen to us, but hopefully we get to listen to you as well. Education is always a two-way process. And when we talk about lifelong learning, there is traditional learning, and then there is informal learning that we have the opportunity to do all along. So maybe just to touch on a couple things, one I think about from the Canadian perspective, what's important. We've talked a lot about how we can support higher education, and I think the issue of sustainability is important as well. And I think something that particularly resonates for Canada is ensuring that there is diversity in education. And we have an international education strategy, I think it is. It's it's $150 million strategy, and one of the areas of focus is bringing about diversity. And diversity can be ensuring that students are coming from a broad range of countries to Canada to study. It means studying in a range of different fields and at different levels as well. And I listened to some of the conversations from earlier today, and that diversity is very important. I think it's very representative of the countries that we live in and the region that we're in. It's necessary for sustainability in terms of having quality higher education systems that are able to respond to the challenges of today and the challenges of tomorrow. And I appreciate some of the discussions around AI, and is it a good thing? Is it not? And maybe we can get into that a little bit more later. And I've just lost my train of thought there for a minute. Thank you. So ensuring that sustainability, so yes, to be able to respond to the challenges of tomorrow as well, and recognizing, the pace at which we're seeing the world change, and I think growth in terms of new technologies is really unprecedented. So we have to be able to equip our educational systems with the skills that are needed to be able to respond to a future that we don't yet know what it will look like. So I'd like to be able to speak a little bit about the Canadian programs that...
That is what I'm going to ask you.
Do you want me to speak now? Or?
Yes. Can you elaborate more? What I learned is there is a partnership called a Seed Scholarship Program.
So
that one, right?
I believe our EU colleague was referencing their propensity for acronyms as much as ASEAN. So I've got to throw Canada out there with the Seed Scholarship Program, which stands for the ASEAN Canada ASEAN-Canada Scholarships and Educational Exchanges for Development. So that's what SEED stands for. So this is a long-standing program that we've had in place. It's a scholarship program. $10 million was initially put against it. So it supports student mobility between Southeast Asia and Canada. So it's a scholarship program that allows students from all ASEAN countries to be able to come to Canada to study at the undergraduate and at the graduate level on a short-term basis. I think it also very much builds lasting ties between the institutions. We see long-standing relationships where institutions from ASEAN countries are paired with Canadian institutions to facilitate students studying in Canada. There's a big emphasis on gender equality as well. This is something that is very important to us as well. Equal access to education, I think, is quite critical, and I think many of us would agree that that's critical for a sustainable education system and for inclusive growth and development. So we specifically aim to have at least 60% of our successful recipients, scholarship recipients, be female. And we're hitting that target. That's the other thing. You set a target, and can you hit the target? And we've been able to, which is really great. And I think the other positive outcome of this is really the lasting ties between students, between the regions. And I think other colleagues have touched on this before. There's obviously the educational benefit. So students coming in from the ASEAN countries, bringing in their experience and education, contributing to the Canadian system, and then vice versa, as students return back to their home countries in ASEAN, they're bringing that Canadian knowledge as well. But it is really much deeper than that, and I think the cultural exchange that happens is really what enriches our respective countries. And again, this is two-way. There are a lot of contributions that students are bringing from the ASEAN region to further enrich Canadian communities. So we're very, very proud of this program. We're also very excited that it is expanding as well. So our Prime Minister Trudeau announced an expansion in 2022 as part of our new Indo-Pacific strategy. We realized that this program is good. It works. It's successful, and it leads to results. So we want to do more of it. And so doing more of things that work well is in my view, a good idea. And so we are in the process right now of looking at what that should look like. And to give you a sense, the current version of SEED focused on the Sustainable Development Goals. So at the time when it was being put together, we realized that was an important opportunity to be able to equip students to be able to respond to that challenge. And so I think a bit of the question now is, as we look at this expansion, how does it need to change, again, to ensure that students are well equipped in terms of having the skills that they need coming out of higher education experiences. So I'll stop there, conscious of many others here.
But of course, there will be a lot of questions coming from the students. Before the next speaker, the ambassador from Japan, we would like to welcome the ambassador of Philippines to ASEAN, Her Excellency Yaselin M. Quintara. Thank you for coming to our session in Universitas Padjadjaran. So we're talking about the strengthening academic mobility, and the question will be around it. Okay? So, Ambassador Kia, do you have any good ideas as a partner to strengthen academic mobility and higher education capacity? Yes. Adding to the first question.
Yes, thank you very much for the invitation, and appreciate this opportunity. I think this university is Indonesia is making full use of ASEAN framework, not only promoting cooperation among each other, but also engaging all the partners, including us, for our mutual benefit and for the benefit of the world. And the same applies to this field of higher education. And so I understand that the topic is strengthening academic mobility and capacity of higher education in ASEAN. And I think simply put, ASEAN can make full use of the benefit for collaboration with all the partners, including us, including Japan, making making most of their respective strengths, like say establishing universities in Indonesia, for example, or offering plenty of scholarships with diversity, with female. And in the case of Japan, maybe I would just mention a few of our strengths. One is supporting ASEAN University Network, AUN. You know, ever since the start of the ASEAN University Network, for more than 20 years, Japan has been supporting an important element of the intra-ASEAN university collaboration in the field of engineering. That is called AUN/SEEDnet. SEED means Southeast Asia Engineering Education Development, that's SEED. So it started in 2003, and the point is that we found Japan's attachment is on higher education. Of course, primary education is very important for kids. Everyone likes kids. But when it comes to nation building, the role of leadership is so important. So unless you have a solid, established universities in the country, maybe all the leadership may be affected by other countries. So to ensure ownership, having high education network is critically important. That's what Japan experienced in the late 19th century. So Japan got independent. With all the big powers coming in, Japan became truly independent. And I think the same applies to ASEAN. So we just supported this critically important engineering field. And the point is that so many professors and lecturers and academics go abroad, go outside the region. So the idea is to just facilitate intra-ASEAN academic exchanges. So say Indonesia to the Philippines, or to Malaysia to Singapore, those I think we had those academic mobility, that is a theme of more than 2,500 people, student mobility and research projects, grants, and so more than 8,000 participants took place. It's all there. I will be quick. So just this. And then the second point is this science and technology and innovation. It's just recently, I think in the last 5 years, I would say. It's called JASTIP, Japan, ASEAN. It's ASEAN, inter-ASEAN, ST, Science, Technology, Innovation Platform. The JASTIP. It's been around for a bit more than 5 years. The idea is to identify key important challenges like disaster management or sustainability and facilitate intra-ASEAN collaboration with the engagement of Japan and others. So the idea and the point is that I think the next slide. So there are 3 layers of academic activities. First one is individual students, academics. The second layer is networking, collaboration. The third top layer is delivering outcomes and results and impacts. So to make most of these synergetic activities, we are now trying to promote this framework. This is led by Kyoto University, which has a longer history than ASEAN for 60 years in their Southeast Asian Center. So just one last point about scholarship, I think which you may be interested. So you got these 3 MEC scholarship or say Monkasho scholarship or some student exchange support program. Those programs are there. I put it on our website of the mission. So if you got more interested in scholarships, it's a say one portal site which you can have access to scholarships. So other than these, we have ASEAN +3, quality assurance, student mobility, platform led by the ministers for 10 years, and Japan launched the workshop under that framework to promote quality assurance so that student mobility could be facilitated. And there's a Campus Asia program in collaboration with China and the Republic of Korea. So ASEAN Plus 3 may be another distinct strength of Japan to contribute to ASEAN scholarship mobility and quality assurance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, FYI, Mr. Ambassador, I was one of the students who did the collaboration with Kyoto University back in 2017 in Kyoto. So I was doing the strengthening academic mobility between Japan and Indonesia. Yes.
Thank you.
I was with the University of Indonesia as a researcher, and then I went to Kyoto University.
Thank you.
It was a program, yeah.
Just last week I went to Kyoto University. Dr. Kao Kim Hong gave a lecture at Kyoto University just last week, and next month there will be a 50th commemorative summit in Tokyo, where on this particular point of exchange, multi-layered exchange, I'm hoping that I'm working on the new initiative to be launched next month. So stay watch.
So there are a lot of opportunities, I know.
Keep
yes.
alert. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to the United States, Ambassador. What do you think, and what would be the strategy to strengthen the academic mobility and higher education?
Thank you. Thank you very much. And let me first just say I'm really grateful to have a chance to be here. Thank you to Ambassador Derry for the invitation, and thank you to the Rector. It's also great to see so many colleagues and friends, and very excited to be here. I'm actually particularly excited to be here back in a university setting. Between the Obama and Biden presidencies, I actually taught at university. And one thing I learned is students ask the hardest questions. I am more nervous taking questions from students than I am from the press, than I am in diplomatic settings. Students have the most insightful and hardest questions, so I look forward to hopefully getting to some of those in just a little bit. And let me also say, I really want to thank the organizers for having us sit down, because as a general rule, I refuse to be on the stage with the Australian ambassador if we're standing up. He's too tall. So I think seated is a good setting to facilitate a fair discussion amongst all of us. In terms of your question, let me just start by saying, overall, we view investing in strengthening educational ties with ASEAN, inclusive of educational mobility, as a central component of realizing the shared future that we want to have for our combined 1 billion people. We think it's good. We hope it's good for the people of ASEAN. We know it's good for the people of the U.S. for us to have stronger ties on the educational front. And for that reason, the United States invests tens of millions of dollars annually in various educational programs around ASEAN, and including through ASEAN. I'll just give a couple examples that hopefully will be a good catalyst for questions and discussion. One example that is, we're coming up on the anniversary of it, is something called the Fulbright U.S. ASEAN Visiting Scholars Initiative. It's a program that we launched in 2013, and we just recently announced that we were going to seek to double the size of that program. Another program that I hope some in the room are familiar with, it's certainly probably one of the things that I often say is the best part of my job as U.S. Ambassador to ASEAN. It's supporting the Young Southeast Asian Leadership Initiative, which is the U.S. government's signature people-to-people program in the region. I would argue, from my perspective, it's one of the best things that we do on the people-to-people front globally. And what it's done is it's supported over 150,000 young Southeast Asian leaders to participate in programming virtually and locally, and it's also supported over 6,000 young Southeast Asian leaders to participate in programming in the United States, often through and in partnership with institutions of higher learning in the United States. And we think that program has been of tremendous value, certainly to us, and we are gratified to hear that it's been of great value to the participants. And I will tell you, just as maybe a quick editorial aside, the reason I say it's one of the favorite parts of my job is that almost invariably when I've had the opportunity to engage with participants in the program, it's impossible to not walk away with a great sense of hope and optimism for the future, given the dynamism and just range and scope and depth of thinking and activity that young leaders are engaged in around the region. One thing that I think my colleague from Singapore, who appears to be asleep while I'm talking, see, I'm still a professor a little bit. I have a good eye for such things. One of the things he mentioned earlier is the importance, I think, to this discussion of leveraging the strength of the private sector in facilitating greater educational ties between the U.S. and ASEAN. This is certainly probably true for other dialogue partners. A couple ways that we've looked to do that have taken place on both the on a couple different fronts. One that I'll name is we have a program called HEPI, which is the Higher Education, I will confess the P, I can't quite remember, initiative. But what it fundamentally does, it's a program that we have with Indonesia, and what it basically looks to do is strengthen ties between U.S. educational institutions and Indonesian higher educational institutions, specifically on STEM topics, looking at issues of standards and accreditation and cross-registration between U.S. universities and universities in Indonesia. Now, creating connective tissue between the universities is of value. Where we think we've, in particular, created some specific value is we've brought in U.S. employers to the conversation, including companies like Oracle and Dow that have a great need for STEM-trained workers to help us create the specific programming that can be additive to their labor needs. And that's a model that we think makes sense, and we hope to look to pursue elsewhere. I'll just note two other things. One is similar on the private sector front. We have a program that the U.S. ASEAN Business Council runs. It's about 5 years old, called the U.S. ASEAN Internship Program, that similarly looks to leverage the strength of our private sector to create not only educational but also work availabilities for students across Southeast Asia. And similar to what my colleague from Japan mentioned, we also are proud to be supportive of the ASEAN University network, including through a specific partnership with our Arizona State University. So I hope that's at least a catalyst for some future discussion, and maybe I'll just close by saying, from our perspective, part of the reason I was so excited to be here, from our perspective, this is one of the areas that we're doing a lot, but we are excited to do more because we think that it is of tremendous value to, again, our combined 1 billion people and what I know we all hope to see for their future. So thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Okay, thank you so much. So yes, there are a lot of opportunities, and the question is, are you going to take the opportunities or not? So the next one would be Her Excellency. So what do you think? What can we do to strengthen our academic mobility and capacity of higher education in ASEAN?
First of all, salamat pagi.
Salamat pagi.
And it's very nice to be here. Thank you, Ambassador Derry, for your kind invitation. This is my second time to be part of the CRISU event. The first one was in IPB in Bogor. And I believe you are the rector of Unpad, Dr. Rina. Very nice to be here. And thanks to Whoosh.
Oh yes, thanks to Whoosh.
I made it here. I won't miss an event like this because, as I said before in another forum, I had a grandmother who was an educator herself, and she founded and operated a school in our Kampung Halaman in the Philippines. And that school is about to turn 100 years old in 6 years' time. So my being here is part of honoring her memory and her legacy. So I have so much respect for educators like you. I'm not sure if I will answer the question based on what I have prepared, but I just have maybe 3 main points that I'd like to make for today's conversation. The first point I'd like to make is that I would like to highlight the importance of access to higher education. You know, ASEAN has a population of 660 million, and the average age of an ASEAN citizen is 29 years old. However, data shows that only 20 million people in ASEAN are enrolled in tertiary education, with a net enrollment rate of around 40%. In contrast, parts of East Asia have an enrollment rate of 90%. Given this and the fact that a significant chunk of ASEAN citizens are of university age, there is a big incentive for the region to make a strong push for better access to higher education. The second point I'd like to make is that how access to higher education can be improved. For this, it is important to encourage investments into higher education. Historically, many developing countries only invested in primary and secondary education. But this trend is changing. ASEAN member states, through the 2015 Kuala Lumpur Declaration on Higher Education, acknowledge that higher education as one of the catalysts in accelerating ASEAN's economic, political, and socio-cultural development agenda. Friends, we all know that in general, Asian parents place a premium on higher education for their children. They know that this is the surest way to guarantee a bright and secure future for them. Filipino families work hard and save money in order to put their children to college or university. The high cost of quality higher education has even caused a lot of Filipino parents to leave the country and work abroad. Access to higher education should therefore be at the forefront of the region's agenda in order to make it accessible to the ordinary ASEAN citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Philippines has recognized the importance of improving access to higher education. In 2017, the Philippines passed a law entitled Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, which exempts eligible college students enrolled in the bachelor's degree, certificate degree, or any comparable undergraduate degree from paying tuition and other school fees in public higher education institutions. The third point I want to make is that I'd like to highlight that ASEAN member states should also pursue cooperation on higher education courses for the jobs of tomorrow. Today, traditional career paths are undergoing transformation. Industries like artificial intelligence, renewable energy, digital marketing, and sustainable agriculture are gaining prominence. As we navigate this changing terrain, it is imperative for higher education institutions across ASEAN to craft courses that foster innovation, critical thinking, and adaptability. Courses for the jobs of tomorrow should integrate interdisciplinary approaches, combining technology with humanities and social sciences. So aside from subsidies, access to education and education systems itself, this can be improved through digitalization. ASEAN is in the midst of developing its post-2025 vision, which will set the vision for the ASEAN community in the next 20 years. During the visioning exercises, one of the mega trends that ASEAN eminent persons have identified is the potential for digitalization in ASEAN to bring the greatest benefits to the region and its people. The question is no longer whether to opt in or opt out of digitalization. It is already here. The question for digitalization in the sphere of higher education is how to effectively harness it. And ASEAN can also use technology to collaborate and develop digital infrastructure and resources. One such innovation is an ASEAN application library, a library app that support online education and blended learning modules. An ASEAN app library can be built as a regional project to aggregate various applications developed by ASEAN member states, where students and teachers can search for whitelisted apps to facilitate learning. AMS can share apps they have developed respectively. Another way to harness technology is through creation of a portal for internship opportunities for ASEAN by ASEAN. Lastly, technology can also be used by developing software application to reduce administrative burden of operating HEIs. So aside from infrastructure, ASEAN can harness technology through establishing program and areas and mechanisms on digitalized credit transfer system, as provided in the roadmap on the ASEAN Higher Education Common Space 2025. By developing a common framework for digital credit transfer, we can create a conducive environment for academic mobility and enhance the overall competitiveness of ASEAN HEIs. So last but not least, I think I have said too much. But in closing, let me reiterate that it is imperative that we place access to higher education at the forefront of our regional agenda. The youth of today are the future leaders, innovators, and change makers of our region. And it is our responsibility to equip them with the skills, knowledge, and values that they need to thrive in an increasingly interconnected and dynamic world. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Thank you so much. Skills, values, and education that are very important for higher education, and make the access of higher education as a regional agenda. So we're open for question and answer discussion session. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, we've got 4 questions. Okay, over there, please, the mic, Panitia. Yes.
First and foremost, I would like to thank you, all of my friends, all the students and distinguished ambassadors and the master of ceremony. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Christopher Gracia Priyabodo, and I'm from International Relations Majors in Universitas Padjadjaran. And my question is actually circling around the topic of educations, obviously. And I personally believe that the education or educational curriculum is very rigid, especially maybe in Asian developing countries. For example, in Indonesia. And it seems that the education system is geared towards producing more scientists, which is not bad. But however, I feel like in reality, I feel that all the jobs available nowadays are quite diverse and require different sets of skills. This is in contrast to what is taught and trained for university students in Indonesia. I believe that the awareness of this issue is still very limited, and which is ultimately leads to a large number of bachelor degree graduates who are unprepared for the workforce later onwards. Now, this can have the implication and negative impacts on Indonesia or other developing Asian countries' economic development due to the lack of competent human resource. And personally, in my opinion, educational institutions, especially universities, should aim to produce more flexible workers with the right skills to contribute to Indonesia or their national economic development. Because, for example, I'm seeing a lot of news about unemployed graduates, which indicating a missing element in university education. So, if the distinguished ambassador maybe have some thoughts and would like to give some perspective regarding this, I would like to ask about to address these shortcomings and build a strong human resource base, particularly in ASEAN. It is important to consider how ASEAN views the development of education in Southeast Asia. The second question is, and how will these cooperations later onwards be executed in the future with precision to address all the issues and hopefully bring about significant changes in the field of education in Indonesia or any other ASEAN countries who may have the same problem regarding the education system or curriculum. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow. So it's about the skills and the preparation to go to work. I mean, like I've been there, done that. When I was in the university, me too. I felt like I know something like scientifically, but I don't have the skills to go to work, for instance. So, Mr. or Mrs. Ambassadors has something to answer about the questions, maybe, please.
I'll happy to. I don't know that I have an answer, but I want to note that I think you're asking a really important question, and it is one that we certainly. I try never to be on these sort of things prescriptive. I can give you a sense of the conversation happening back home because I think there's some areas of similarity with what you're describing. Because it's critical for all of our economies to align our training and educational resources with our actual labor and workforce needs. And importantly, and this was built into what Ambassador Joy said about both accessibility and affordability, it's critical that when people pay for, either in literally pay for or pay for with the opportunity cost of pursuing education, they're left better able to attain gainful employment. And one of the things that we have been actively working on domestically, President Biden has had a real focus on domestically, is aligning basically the value of an education with the value, the cost of an education, with better aligning the cost of an education with the value that it provides the student upon graduation. And holding educational institutions accountable for providing that value in a transparent way, making their data transparent for graduates who go into either formal degree programs or other certification programs, giving them visibility and transparency into the outcomes that past graduates have had in the workforce. I think this is always, the reason I say it's the right question is I think from a policy perspective, it's always going to be, the economy is changing so rapidly and dynamically that it is always going to be a very active effort on the part of both educational institutions and the governments that seek to support them to close whatever gap will be created as technological advancements iterate. So again, I don't have a silver bullet for it other than to say what we are trying to do back home is increase transparency, find ways to give students the ability to make informed choices when they pursue degrees as to what employment opportunities will be available at the tail end of that process, and otherwise look for ways to support the economy of the future by aligning, importantly, not just degree programs, but also other offerings that universities have with the employment needs of the future. So thank you for the question.
Okay, His Excellency, please.
Thanks. Yeah, just to add to what Johannes has said, I think it's a really important question, this question of matching skills to the needs out there in the labour force. One of the ways that we try to do that in Australia is to involve industry and curriculum development. So, for example, our federal government and our states and territories set the curriculum for universities and technical and vocational education and training institutions, but they do so in consultation with representative industry bodies, which ensures that the course content is well tailored to the needs that are out there. Skills also has been a really big focus of Australia's cooperation with ASEAN, particularly in the field of technical and vocational education and training. So under our comprehensive strategic partnership, we announced a new program. It's called the Australia for ASEAN Digital Transformation and Future Skills Initiative. And one element of that program is a skills policy dialogue. So this is bringing together tertiary technical and vocational education and training institutions in Australia and in ASEAN to talk about, well, what do the jobs of the future look like? We're experiencing massive digitalization, challenges of AI and so on. So what sort of skills are our workforces going to need, not just now, but in 5 years and in 10 years' time? Ambassador Vicky talked about the importance of sustainability, and I think that's important when we look at jobs as well, sustainable jobs, and also the question of green jobs. and Australia and ASEAN. Australia is partnering with Malaysia actually for an ASEAN dialogue on green jobs, which will take place in Kuala Lumpur in February next year. Just one more point on AI. I think there's a lot of focus rightly on AI, on the possibility of AI doing students' work and assignments and so on, and that's an important issue. But I think the really big issue is how AI is transforming the workplace. Implications of AI for the kind of skills that are going to be needed into the future. And that's a question that our tertiary education institutions, I think, really need to focus on because things are changing so rapidly. It puts a lot of pressure on educational institutions, actually, and a lot of pressure on us to forecast the kind of jobs that are going to be needed into the future. So really important questions. A couple of thoughts on the way Australia is tackling this, but something we all need to think about, I think.
Okay, yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes. Well, thank you for a very relevant question to everyone, all of us. The matching of the education quality at the highest university on one hand, and the need in society on the other. How to make it happen? Otherwise, we'll be always unemployed. So this question. My simple answer is that. The answer lies here in ASEAN, Southeast Asia. So this is the need is most acutely felt. Population is rising, economy is growing. There's strong need for workforce, strong need for qualified people. So university role is getting more important. So higher education is a growing industry. So I think that's the opportunity. How to make that happen? Make use of the cutting-edge technology. Make use of the cutting-edge ideas. That is to be stimulated by the world. As Johannes said, transparency. All the good ideas are available in the world, and all the needs are on the ground in your respective countries, which other countries do not know. So the key is for ASEAN to take the ownership, leadership, and to match the needs on the ground and make most of the knowledge, network, and ideas, technologies from other countries, other regions, including Japan, and the US and Australia and Canada and others. So I hope for this higher education initiative and today's event. So this is the opportunity to make that happen.
We have to realize that ASEAN is growing and there are a lot of opportunities here. So, yes, please.
The case of the Philippines is quite interesting. The students back home take courses for jobs that are actually available in the world. We are very known for our Filipinos in the healthcare industry. Most of the Filipinos in Canada, maybe even Japan, because of the aging trend, are there. When a student in the Philippines choose what to take for an undergraduate course, it's either nurse or accountancy or even teaching. So I would say that as long as our partners are able to give positive policies on migration and continue to open their countries for opportunities that are actually not available in my country. We have, I'm not going to say a surplus, but our people are just adventurous. Because they are able to adapt themselves quite well, and that's why they are able to consider courses that are important for jobs abroad. So, as I said, this is quite interesting for a country. But that's the reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You want to add more? Yes.
I'll be brief. I think this is on. So again, thank you for the question, because I think it's very valid. I think it's something that that everyone is grappling with, and I think not to suggest the age of any of us on the stage here, but our educational experience from a handful of years ago is definitely not what your educational experience is today, and is not what it will be 20 years from now. I don't really have an answer for you. I don't have that solution, but I think it's important to ensure that these dialogues continue to happen. I think through our educational exchange programs, it does apply some pressure to make sure that our educational institutions are evolving in the right way. And before I came out here, I was looking at, for our Seed Scholarship program, the areas which were the disciplines which were most popular in the last year. And you look at the disciplines, and it lines up in terms of the issues that we're all talking about today: climate security, digital transformation, food security, energy security. All those things are in there. So it's interesting to see that, and it's interesting to maybe unpack that a little more to understand where that trend is going. Are students studying in those areas because they see these are the issues that we need to deal with now, or are educational institutions responding to those issues and adapting programs accordingly? I would also say the other important element is, and we've talked about this before, lifelong learning. It's a catchphrase, but it actually is very credible as well. It's been a while since I've been studying in university, but we actively learn all the time, and I think there's a recognition of that we need to continue to be rehoning our skills to be able to respond to new challenges, but to also take advantage of opportunities as well. So we need to remember that is critical as well for the sustainability and to ensure a robust workforce in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I promise to give 3 other more opportunities for questions. So what I'm going to do here is to collect all the questions, and that will be answers. Okay? Okay. 2 over here, no? 3 and 4. Over here, please. Yes. Panitia boleh kasih mic-nya, because I promised them to give 4 opportunities. So the best thing I can do is just to collect the questions. Please give the questions briefly, effectively, and quickly. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. So my name is Fadiar. I'm from the Faculty of Economics and Business. So here's a backstory, just a little bit of backstory. I'm an alumnus of the Indonesian International Student Mobility Awards, or ISMA for short. It's a scholarship program fully funded by the government that allowed me to study abroad for a single semester, free of charge. And ISMA itself is part of a larger program called Campus Merdeka, or Sovereign Campus in English, that allows students from all across Indonesia to study exchanges, or do internships, or build businesses, or go to do volunteering for a total of 3 semesters. And this whole experience made me wonder, is there a chance that maybe an ASEAN-led program similar to this will be available in the near future? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question.
Hello, my name is Florencia. I'm from English Studies, Universitas Padjadjaran. Well, my question is like what Philippines ambassador mentioned before. There are still a lot of people in Asia who didn't enroll in higher education. I think one of the reasons it happened isn't because they don't want to take the chance, but they can. And it's difficult to them since some of the underprivileged group had to work at such a young age to provide the family and gain money earlier. So they prefer not to pursue higher education. And my question is, what recommendation or strategies do you have for fostering larger inclusivity in order to strengthen the academic mobility in accessing higher education for underprivileged or underrepresented group in ASEAN with limited access and struggle they had? Thank you.
Okay, and the last one would be from over here. Mbak yang di sini, yes.
Hello, distinguished ambassadors. I'm Aini, and I'm also a previous alumnus of an exchange program to South Korea last year. And from that particular experience, one thing that I see, and also from your previous talks related to your respective countries, one thing that I noted is that a lot of the programs or the facilities that are provided for students to mobilize and study abroad are often to STEM or technology-related students. So my personal concern, and I think maybe some other people that could relate, is that there's a minimum opportunities for students that come from the social backgrounds or humanities. So I would like to ask for your comments and inputs about, are there any possible perspective in the futures for programs like that, or anything that you would like to add? Thank you very much.
Okay, good questions. So this the first one. It was about the exchange student program in ASEAN, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Not just exchange, but internships and volunteering programs and other activities.
Okay, so we cannot really hear because the mic was really. Okay, Mbak, mic-nya boleh, Mas. Tadi nggak terlalu kedengeran, soalnya maaf ya, agak dideketin sedikit, jadi kita di sini nggak terlalu dengar. He will repeat it because yes, it was not really clear the sound.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, so my question is, can we expect an ASEAN-led program that involves not just higher education institutions, but also corporations, NGOs, and other relevant stakeholders in the near future?
Okay, now that is clear. Thank you so much for repeating. So maybe this is going to be answered, who is going to answer this, because it's particularly from ASEAN region. Maybe Her Excellency want to? Okay.
Yes, thank you. It may be ASEAN-led in a sense. Japan, I think we are now working on making use of a number of youth exchange programs, including student exchanges, to link them with companies in the private sector and academic institutions. So engaging all the ASEAN countries. So we intend to expand it on this occasion. So as you said, it's quite important to just engage the private sector with the career development efforts by the universities. So this is a very important point, and that will be opened a new way. I'm hoping that it will not be just the two-way exchange between ASEAN and Japan, but there is always intra-ASEAN elements because ASEAN is growing so much. So I hope that kind of support may be available from other partners as well. Thank you.
Okay, if I may add the question, are there any opportunities like that in Japan itself, Mr. Ambassador? Like opening the opportunity not only for exchange students, but for exchanging students to work in NGO in the future or companies in the future?
Yes, apart from internship, I think that some employment efforts, but probably for Japanese students, I think the efforts are now being given for students to go abroad to learn more new things, to get to know other things. So that is the emphasis we are placing on young people, because they tend to be rather more inward looking because they are getting more satisfied with the status quo. So I think, but the key is to make them understand the importance of diversity in exchanges. So I think we are also making such efforts.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question was about the underprivileged students and their access to higher education. Please, Her Excellencies.
Thank you for the question of the second lady. I agree that sometimes students are not able to pursue higher education because they are they had to work at an early age. But I think the important thing is the opportunity exists. In the Philippines, as I said, as I mentioned previously, we had this new law, Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act. And what we are doing, we have an agency back home called Commission on Higher Education. So that's actually the agency that implements this law. And from what I have gathered, they have been very active in reaching out to the marginalized sectors like the indigenous groups, also in the autonomous region in the southern Philippines. So adequate budget has been given to be able to reach them. And even in the top state universities in the Philippines, very limited opportunities for people in those groups to pass the admission tests. So there is a deliberate attempt to make sure that these groups of people are able to be included in the what we're trying to implement in terms of tertiary education. So much effort is needed to be able to do that. Thank you.
Much effort is needed, but we have to know that the opportunity exists. Right, okay. The last question from you was, why is it always the opportunity for technology and science student? That was my case as well, because I was in social studies. What are we going to do as a social studies students to get some opportunities of exchange and scholarships? That is right? Okay. Who is going to answer? Yes, please.
Maybe I can just jump in quickly, just to give you an example, to give you some assurances around the opportunities that do exist for those in the social studies stream. So, I looked up again the fields in which our students who participated in the SEED scholarship program in the last year, and yes, absolutely, the most popular area was applied sciences, technology, and engineering. So not surprised there. So 40% of students were studying in that area, in those areas. But right behind, 38% of students were studying in social sciences, business, and law. And to me, it's important to be able to look at evidence that we have available. The programs are available in Canadian institutions, and students are successfully participating in those programs. Thank you.
Okay, any addition for that questions, maybe? Yes, please.
Yeah, to just say, Australia has a range of scholarship programs for students in Southeast Asia. One of them, one that's underway at the moment, is called the Australia for ASEAN Scholarships. And that is deliberately designed to support the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific and study in the 4 key areas on the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific. So those 4 areas are maritime, sustainable development goals, and I think social sciences are really important to the question of how we meet the sustainable development goals, connectivity and economic development. So it's up to students to explain in their applications how their proposed field of study will advance the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific and cooperation under those 4 areas. Just a quick point on the question on exchanges. So I think Australia, we have a range of scholarship programs for students from Southeast Asia to study in Australia. But we also, importantly, have programs that go the other way. So there's a program called the New Colombo Plan, where scholars from Australia can come and study in institutions across Southeast Asia. And that's really important in terms of the kind of things that some of the ambassadors were talking about. Two-way exchange, building mutual understanding, cultural education and understanding. And there are some other programs as well that go to the question that you asked, moderator, about NGOs. So we have a program called Australian Volunteers International, where Australians have the chance to volunteer and work in NGOs across the region. And also a program called Raya, where we deploy
people to work in institutions working on humanitarian assistance across the region. So, for example, we have Australian deployees to the AHA Centre, which is ASEAN's humanitarian wing. So lots of exchange, lots of possibility for exchange, not just for students from ASEAN to study in Australia, but for Australians to come and study and work in ASEAN. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I hope that answers your question as well. So thank you so much. That is the end of our sessions for this morning. There are a lot of opportunities. Please realize that ASEAN, Southeast Asia, is growing. So now is the time for you to improve your skills, improve your education, take a higher education as much as possible as you can. The question is just, you want to take it or not? Okay, thank you so much for our speakers for today. His Excellency Will Nankervis, thank you so much. Her Excellency Vicky Singmin, thank you so much. His Excellency Kia Masahiko, thank you so much. And from the US, His Excellency Johannes Abede Abraham, thank you. And from the Philippines, Her Excellency Joycelyn M. Quintara. Thank you so much. Give a round of applause to our speakers. And that would be the end of our session this morning. I'm Ajeng Kamarati signing out, and I will be giving this event back to the MC.
Okay, thank you so much, Mbak Ajeng Kamarati. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause. Okay, we kindly ask to open this to remain on the stage because there will be a giving souvenir from Universitas Padjadjaran. Furthermore, we will invite the Rector of Universitas Padjadjaran to come to the stage. Okay, once more to our moderator today. This is souvenir from Universitas Padjadjaran presented by Rector of Universitas Padjadjaran. Once again, thank you to our moderator Mbak Ajeng Kamarati and also our panelists for today's event. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we've arrived at the end of the plenary session of Ambassador's Talk on Higher Education in ASEAN 2023. Thank you for joining us today, for your presence and wonderful time with us. Once again, thank you for being part of this remarkable event, Ambassador's Talk on Higher Education in ASEAN 2023. I am Triaji Rizky Ramadan signing off and have a great day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellencies and distinguished guests, we would like to inform you that we're going to have a networking lunch. We kindly invite you to join us at the executive lounge Universitas Padjadjaran for the networking lunch.